Welcome guys to another Gamer Goose episode here on YouTube. It's been a while since I posted, but try and get back into the swing of things. And today we're looking at the Australian Open 2022, which has proven to be one of the most interesting tournaments in recent memory due to off and on the court. Let's delve into it. Alright guys, let's get into it. Now we're going to start with, so we're going to have a few different categories. We're going to have the men's biggest wildcards or unseeded players, someone that isn't really tipped to win, that could go really far or win it. Same as the women's, so the men's and women's unseeded. Then we've got the biggest disappointment of the men's and women's, and then we've got the favourites to take out the biggest prize in tennis, the Australian Open. Man, fuck Wimbledon, fuck French Open, fuck the US Open. Australian Open is the best tournament of the Grand Slam for, can't change my mind. Alright, so we're going to start with the women's unseeded / wildcard entries. So for these categories, we're going to do about 2 per one, same as the disappointments, and then with the favourites, we'll probably do like a top 5 for male and female. So for the women, I think 2 ones that really come out of me are Madison Keys and Sloane Stephens. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, Sloane Stephens, like she's won a Grand Slam in the past, like why is she a wild card or unseeded, blah blah blah. Well, Sloane Stephens, let me just check my information here. Okay, so she won the US Open in 2017, alright? That's a long time ago. That's when she was like 22, 23. She's now currently 28. She's ranked 65 currently. Her highest ranking has been 3rd when she won. She's never actually reached that top rank position, but something about Sloane Stephens and her lead up hasn't been phenomenal, but there's something telling me she's going to go pretty far into this tournament. Now, these wildcard entries don't mean that I think they're going to win necessarily, but would I be surprised if they won? No, but this is more so, do I think they're going to go further than what people think? Kind of exceeding expectations. Now, Madison Keys is another one. She's been in a semi-final in the Australian Open. Now, that was about 7 years ago, and she has made the final of the US Open about 5-6 years ago, where she lost in pretty embarrassing way. So I think she lost 6-3, 6-0. So, not great record, but Madison Keys is currently ranked 87. Now, I think that really doesn't show her level of talent at all. She's very, very talented. She's got that drive. She's quite entertaining. She's pretty good in interviews. Now, that's not going to help her on the court, but I mean, when you have that confidence and you have that drive and you get that through interviews, you interview well, thinking, you know what, I'm feeling pretty good. Like, I could win this. Let's go. So those 2 are my picks. Now, as far as I think they'll go, I think Sloane Stephens has probably got a slight more of a chance to go further than Madison Keys. I think Madison Keys will make it to round 4 and possibly even further to the qualifying. I honestly believe Sloane Stephens could make the qualifying and the semi-finals. Probably a big call. And I do think that Sloane will upset a big-name player. It's only a matter of time because she's ranked in the 60s, so she'll come across a top 20 or top 15 player soonish in her run, but I think she'll do well. Madison Keys, her chances probably aren't as great as Sloane, but I think she'll do well. So, yeah, that's the women's wildcard and unseeded category. On to the next one. Alright, now on to the men's unseeded / wildcard. Now, this ain't no surprise to people that know me. I'm a big Andy Murray fan, have been since I was a kid, back before he was kind of young and up and coming, and then I was there as a true fan when he won his gold medals, his Grand Slams, all that. Never won an Australian Open. He's lost a lot of finals to Djokovic and Federer and all that in the past. He's currently ranked in the 120s, I think. He's had a reasonably okay build-up considering what he's had to go through the past few years with his body, his injuries and all that. But I think the crowd behind him, his last run in the Australian Open, I think it's going to be a fairy tale in the way that I don't think Andy Murray's got a chance to win the Australian Open. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he has a chance of making the final. Semi-finals, slim as possibility. Now, I think Murray, because of his very, very low ranking, he's going to come across some pretty competitive dudes pretty early on, and I think he's going to beat a lot of them. That might surprise a few people. I think he's going to go through round 1, 2, 3, no doubt. It's a big call, I know, but it gets to round 4 is when it gets a bit dicey for him, because he'll come and get up against some pretty decent competition. The only thing that go Andy Murray's way is if he beats some high caliber competitors, and whoever he meets in round 4 might be someone young and up and coming that has also done the same thing, and they meet each other. Then Murray could cement himself in the qualifying final, which would be interesting. Now, to the next one, who's a bit more likely, sorry, not more likely, they're both very likable, more likely to advance even further and possibly a final or possibly a semi-final, is Frances Tiafoe. This guy is one of the most likable guys on the tour. The way he carries himself, his energy, like he's got that hunger. He's one of the most hungry tennis players in the world. Like he wants it. He wants a Grand Slam so bad. He's so likable on and off the court, and he's got some skill. Like when he plays his 100% best, he can beat some of the best in the world. Now we see it takes some players a bit longer than others to get to the point. Like Andy Murray, it took him a bit longer to win those Grand Slams. It took other players to win Grand Slams. It wasn't like Nadal, like Federer, like Lleyton Hewitt, where they won in their late teens, early 20s. It wasn't always like that for everyone. So I think Tiafoe is one of those people that I 100% guarantee he will go all the first 4 rounds. When he gets to qualifying final is when he's going to get tested, and he has to meet those challenges because he's failed in the past, but he's also shown that he can beat the best in the world. And Andy Murray and Tiafoe are two of my favourite players as well, so a bit biased, but I think they both can go such a long way, and fingers crossed they can. Next category. Right, now on to the biggest disappointment for the women's. Now this one I did have to think long and hard about. I had to, watch all the lead up to the event. There's about 3 or 4 that stuck out, but 2 really stuck out from that group. That was Aryna Sabalenka from Belarus and Maria Sakkari from Greece. Now, Sabalenka has been someone that I've followed for a few years, only because every time I seem to turn whatever channel on the tennis was on, at the Australian Open every year, Sabalenka was playing. And I remember Ash Barty really mopped the floor with her, so to speak. And I knew that at the time Sabalenka, I think, was only 20, 21 maybe. And I thought she'll go into it. And she's won, I think, 2 Grand Slam doubles results. We're talking about singles. And when we talk about singles, Sabalenka's made the 4th round once, and that was last year. She's had a really bad run in the Australian Open. Yes, like I said, she's only 23. But you have people that age winning multiple Grand Slams. So she's made the 3rd round once, the 4th round once, and all else she hasn't either qualified or she's been eliminated in the 1st round. So we're talking about the Australian Open here, not a good result. Yeah, she made semi-finals in Wimbledon and US Open last year, and that's why she's ranked 2 at the moment. And that's without making a final in a Grand Slam and winning only a few titles here and there. I think she's got around 9 or 10 career titles. But in all fairness, they've been like recently as well. But I think that she may be one of those players, I'm just guessing here, that every tennis player has a tournament they're not great at. Federer at the French Open isn't as great as what he is at Wimbledon and the Australian Open and US Open. So they've all got their tournaments. I think Sabalenka's just got too much competition in the category that don't crumble in big games and just are better, to be honest. And Maria Sakkari, we haven't seen a lot of her. She's 26. She's only recently started to make her climb the last year or 2, maybe. Now, she's ranked 6th in the world. She has made the 4th round of the Australian Open in 2020. She had an okay year last year. She made the semi-final of the French Open and semi-final of the US Open. She has got that form in the last year. I just think I haven't seen that much of it that shows me that she's going to be a real contender at this Australian Open. I could be wrong. And when I talk disappointment, because she's in the top 6, everyone expects her to make, semi-final at least, really, or in that mix. I think she's going to get taken out in maybe round 4, round 3 even. I I don't see her pass. I don't see her making the semi-final, definitely the final, maybe qualifying final if she gets the easy draw. But I don't see anything other than that. And now onto the men's. So for the men's, we've got Andrei Rublev, and let's hope I get this pronunciation right. I don't want to offend anyone because I've been watching the video and everything. But Hubert Hurkacz from Poland. So those two. Now for Hubert, it's mainly he's got a very hard draw. I think it turns out that he might play against Nadal. Now we're expecting Nadal to go pretty fucking far, if not win it all. We'll touch on that later. I just think that he hasn't had a good enough run. Now he made a semi-final of Wimbledon and that showed promise, but then he tanked out in the US Open at, I reckon, round 2. So he hasn't had a great lead up in the Grand Slams, especially the Australian Open. The furthest he's made is the second round, and that was 2 years ago. So this isn't a great look for him. He's ranked 10 is why I have him my disappointments. If he wasn't so ranked highly, I wouldn't put him in my disappointments, because he's ranked 10 in the world for men. It's not going to look good for him. And if he even does make it to Nadal, I don't see him beating Nadal, unfortunately. Now to Rublev. This is just one of my picks that is just... Something's telling me that he's just going to disappoint. And by disappoint, I mean he's going to tank out round 2, round 3. I don't know why. And I haven't even looked at his schedule as if he's playing against people that could definitely beat him. I don't know. I just have a feeling that for someone that's ranked 5th in the world, I just think he's going to be... Because there's always, every year, there's always 1 or 2 players in the men's and women's, respectively, that tank out, they disappoint, and they lose when they shouldn't, early on in round 1, 2 or 3. There's also 2 players, like Chung in the Australian Open 3 or 4 years ago. No one had ever heard of him. He was 20 years of age. Made it to, I think, the qualifying final or the semi-final of that Australian Open. Killed it. There's always those players. So I think Rublev is one of those. Now on to the big one, who I think is going to win the Australian Open 2022. And like I said, onto the big one, who I think will be the champions of the men and women's, respectively, of the Australian Open 2022. Now, for the women's, I'm being biased as shit. I'm Aussie. It's going to be Ash Barty. Now, me being biased aside, I just think Ash is just built for the Australian Open. And not every player, like, they own tournaments, right? So Rafael Nadal, he owns the French Open. That's his. He ain't French. He's Spanish. So when players own tournaments, doesn't mean they have to be from that place. It's just happens to be for Ash Barty, her tournament is where she's from. So she's got the nation behind her, literally, and it helps when there's no real other female tennis players that are really trying to take her top spot as the best Aussie player. Sam Stosur, non-existent. Cassie Delacroix in the past, we thought she was going to be a thing. It's Ash Barty. And the only person that could maybe challenge her for it is Simona Halep, but I think her last year was just riddled with injuries, and I think it's going to be very, very hard for her to come back from that and be able to take it all the way to the end and win the final. She could make the final, but I think if she comes up against Barty, it's going to be over for her. So that's the women's. Real quick, it's going to be Ash Barty. Lock it in. Now for the men's, it's interesting tournament. Ain't gonna lie, a very, very interesting tournament for the men's. Now with Djokovic, we're not going to talk about him much, but he's out. Yeah, all right, so he's out. He's been deported. He's no longer a contender. I don't think he would have been a contender anyway if he played. There's been too much bullshit surrounding him in his head and all that. But anyway, no longer existent. Now, when we talk about the men's, you have people like Medvedev. I'm talking about Alexander. Then you have Stefanov Tsitsipas. Now, Tsitsipas would have been my pick, but he is coming back from injury. And can he make that long journey to the final and win it? If he has a few runs of 5-setters, he isn't going to be able to handle it. I could be wrong. I could be proven wrong. Maybe his body is better than what I think it is, and I really hope that Stefanov can win because I'm a big fan of him. And like I said, Zverev is the same. You have Denis Shapovalov. I think he's in the mix. He's been a young up and coming player for a few years now. And it gets to a point where you can't be an up and coming player when you've been in Grand Slams and on the tour for 5 years and you're coming up to your mid-20s. So this is his last chance to prove that he is a young up and coming player and he's going to be a superstar like Federer, like Nadal. And you have someone like Grigor Dimitrov and Gael Monfils. Okay, so I put them in the same category for this category. They both have gotten close so many occasions and they've just kind of crumbled and fallen apart. A bit like one of my favourite players, Sebastian Grosjean, back in 04-05. He was the same. Those two I think are shot, but I think Rafael Nadal. I mean, have a look at this.
Head-to-head is in the Spaniards' favour, 16-13, but last year the pair met 6 times in finals, with Djokovic winning each one. Nadal was looking to make a statement early. Nadal striking first, breaking the Djokovic serve to go 3-2 up.
See, he's just so talented. That's not even a recent video. That's just showing his talent, what he can do. And it wasn't the Australian Open. I think Nadal is just my clear-cut favourite to win this. I don't think it's 100% guaranteed, because I think in tennis, and especially this tournament, everything surrounding Djokovic and who's going to be in, who's going to be out due to injury, Federer not playing. You can't guarantee anything, but I think Nadal is definitely a massive shout to win. So I'd put him on top, and then I would put, Zverev, Tsitsipas kind of next, and then Shapovalov, Dimitrov, Gael Monfils. And a lot of people are like, Gael Monfils, he's in his 30s past. He always performs very well at the Australian Open, and he always ends up having a pretty shit draw. He always seems to come up against either Federer or Djokovic, and he never can quite beat them on occasion. But I think if he has a better schedule, he could definitely make the semi-finals, no doubt. Guys, if you like this video, please like the video, and if you like my content in general, please subscribe. It really does help me out. I appreciate you watching anyway, even if you don't like or subscribe. And please comment down below what you think of my predictions, if you think they're utter bullshit or you're growing a few things and not others. And please comment down below who you think are your prediction on who's going to win, who's going to disappoint, what's going to be the match of the tournament, vice versa, guys. But thank you so much, and I'll catch you next video.